I'm Emma Blake, the woman who lost 14 years of her life because the mother of the man I loved fabricated lies, destroyed me, and erased me from his world. But then, right in the middle of his lavish wedding to my own sister, my son suddenly stood up, looked her straight in the eye, and said, "I object. Because the groom is my father, the bride is my aunt, and you did everything you could to make sure I didn't exist." Before I share my full story, tell me where you're watching from in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe if you've ever stood up against injustice for your family. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happens next. The wedding invitation landed on the bar counter like a grenade with the pin pulled. I was wiping down glasses at Sandy's beachside bar, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the weathered wood, when the mail carrier dropped it off with the usual stack of bills and junk mail. My sister's name jumped out at me first. Isabel Carter. Then his. Adrian Cole. The champagne flute I'd been polishing slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor. The sound seemed to echo forever, each shard catching the light like the pieces of my past I'd tried so hard to sweep away. "Mom, you okay?" Noah's voice cut through my shock. He'd been doing homework at the corner booth, his usual after-school spot where he could raid the kitchen for fries, and I could keep an eye on him. "Fine, honey, just Butterfingers." I bent to clean up the glass, grateful for the excuse to hide my face. But my hands were shaking, and a piece nicked my palm. The blood welled up, bright red against my skin, the same color as the dress I'd worn the night Adrian disappeared. Noah appeared beside me with the first aid kit, already pulling out bandages. At 13, he was more mature than most kids his age, probably because he'd had to be. Single moms and their kids, we learned to take care of each other. "What's that?" He nodded toward the invitation, which had fallen open on the counter. Before I could grab it, he'd already scanned the elegant script. His face changed, something sharp and knowing flashing in his eyes. Adrian's eyes, though he didn't know it yet. "Cole," he said slowly, testing the name. "I've seen that name before, in your old photo album, the one you keep in the closet." My heart stopped. I'd been so careful, but kids notice everything. "It's just someone I used to know in college." "Someone important enough to keep hidden photos of?" Noah's jaw set in that stubborn way that was purely him. "And now Aunt Isabel's marrying him?" The late afternoon crowd was starting to trickle in. I couldn't have this conversation here, not with Sandy shooting me concerned looks from behind the register and the regulars settling onto their usual stools. "We'll talk about it at home. We'll talk about it now." Noah crossed his arms. "I'm not stupid, Mom. I can do math. You dropped out of law school 14 years ago. I'm 13. And this guy," he jabbed at the invitation, "he meant something to you." A customer called for a beer. I had to work, had to smile, had to pretend my carefully constructed world wasn't crumbling. But Noah waited, patient as a hunter, until my shift ended at 8. The drive home was silent except for the ocean waves crashing against the cliffs. Our apartment was small but clean, with a view of the water if you stood on the balcony and craned your neck just right. I had chosen it because the sound of the waves helped me sleep, helped me forget. Noah sat at our scratched kitchen table, the invitation between us like evidence in a trial. "Is he my father?" The words I'd practiced for 13 years dissolved on my tongue. All those carefully rehearsed explanations about sperm donors and choices, and loving him enough for 2 parents, none of it mattered now. "Yes." He absorbed this with surprising calm. "Does he know about me?" "No." The word tasted like sand. "He left before I could tell him." "And now he's marrying your sister." Noah's voice was steady, but I saw his hands clench. "Are we going?" "Absolutely not. I want to see him." "Noah, I have the right to see my father." His voice cracked, revealing the child beneath the mature facade. "Even if it's just once. Even if he doesn't know who I am." I looked at my son, brilliant, stubborn, aching for something I couldn't give him. The California sun had given him golden highlights in his dark hair, but in certain lights, in certain moods, he was Adrian's ghost walking through my life. "If we go, I said slowly. We go to observe, nothing more. He's marrying Isabel. We can't. I know. Noah's eyes met mine, and I saw myself reflected there. The careful control, the buried hurt. I just want to see him, that's all. The invitation sat between us, cream-colored cardstock with gold embossing. June in New York. A world away from our life in San Diego. Okay, I whispered. We'll go. The Honda Civic's air conditioning gave out somewhere in Arizona. Noah didn't complain, just aimed the little battery-powered fan he'd bought at a truck stop toward my side of the car. We drove with the windows down, hot desert air whipping our hair, classic rock stations fading in and out like memories. Tell me about him, Noah said as we crossed into New Mexico. We'd been on the road for 10 hours, taking turns picking music, sharing gas station snacks, pretending this was just another adventure. I'd been dreading this question, but also expecting it. What do you want to know? Everything. So I told him. How Adrian and I met in constitutional law, both of us gunning for top of the class. How he'd offered to share his notes after I missed a week with the flu, showing up at my apartment with soup and color-coded study guides. How we'd fallen into each other like gravity. He sounds perfect, Noah said, skepticism coloring his voice. Nobody's perfect. I changed lanes to pass a struggling RV. But he was brilliant. Funny. He cared about justice. Wanted to change the world through law. We were going to open our own firm one day, take on cases that mattered. What happened? The question I'd asked myself 1,000 times. His mother happened. Eleanor Cole had arrived at our apartment on a rainy Thursday in March. I'd been 3 months pregnant, waiting for the right moment to tell Adrian. She'd sat on our secondhand couch like a queen on a throne, her Chanel suit impeccable despite the weather. She offered me money to leave, I told Noah. Said I wasn't suitable for her son's future. And you took it? No. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. I told her to go to hell, but Adrian, he vanished that weekend. Left a note saying he had to go to London for the family business, that we should take a break. That's it? He just left? A week later, I got a letter from Eleanor's lawyer. Adrian had been informed of my decision to terminate the pregnancy. There was a check enclosed for my medical expenses and emotional distress, $50,000. Noah was quiet for a long moment. But you didn't. No, I kept you. And I kept the check as evidence, though of what, I never figured out. We stopped for the night in Amarillo, sharing a room at a motel that had seen better decades. As Noah slept, I sat by the window, watching trucks pull in and out of the lot. My phone buzzed with a text from Isabel. Can't wait to see you, so glad you're coming. I'd never told her about Adrian and me. By the time she'd started college, I was already gone. Already reinventing myself as Emma the bartender instead of Emma the law student. Our mother had always preferred Isabel anyway. The prettier one, the uncomplicated one, the one who didn't get knocked up and drop out of school. The next morning, Noah showed me his phone over breakfast at a diner. I've been researching Adrian Cole. My coffee turned to acid in my stomach. Noah, did you know he's worth about $300 million? His company did this huge development deal in Brooklyn last year. But look, he scrolled through articles. There's all this stuff that gets buried. Environmental violations, tenant disputes, and it all gets hushed up. His mother controls a media empire, I said. She can bury anything. There's more. Noah's face was serious. 3 women have filed paternity suits against him in the past 5 years, all settled out of court. My hand trembled as I set down my cup. 3 women. 3 potential half-siblings Noah would never know. Maybe this is a mistake, I said. Maybe we should turn around. No. Noah's chin lifted. Now I really want to meet him. As we loaded back into the car, I noticed the black SUV parked across the street. I'd seen the same model at our last 2 stops. Paranoid, I told myself. But when we pulled onto the highway, it followed at a careful distance. Mom, Noah said quietly, that car's been... I know. I pressed harder on the accelerator. Probably nothing. But we both knew better. In the Cole family orbit, nothing was coincidence. The SUV followed us through Texas, maintaining its distance, never quite close enough to see the plates. Finally, as we stopped for gas near Dallas, it vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. You think Eleanor knows we're coming? Noah asked. I thought of the invitation, Isabel's convenient text, the SUV's careful surveillance. Yeah, I said. She knows. The dress still fit. I stood before the hotel mirror, smoothing black silk over hips that had carried a child, breasts that had nursed him, shoulders that had borne 14 years of single motherhood. It was the same dress I'd worn to the law school gala where Adrian had first said he loved me. I'd kept it like evidence, buried in the back of my closet. You look beautiful, Noah said from the doorway. He was struggling with his bow tie, the rental tux making him look older, sharper, more like Adrian. Come here. I fixed the tie, my hands steadier than my heart. Remember what we discussed? Observe only. Don't make a scene. Don't approach him. He recited our rules like a mantra. But Mom, what if— No what ifs. I turned back to the mirror, adding lipstick like armor. We're ghosts at this party. The Ritz-Carlton ballroom was a constellation of Manhattan's elite. Crystal chandeliers threw light across women dripping in diamonds, men in tuxedos worth more than my car. I recognized faces from the society pages Eleanor had always featured in. Holy shit, Noah whispered. Language. Sorry, holy champagne flutes. Isabel spotted us first. She glided over in a cloud of white tulle and Vera Wang, her smile bright as camera flashes. Emma, you came. Air kisses, the scent of expensive perfume. Then she saw Noah and froze. I watched the calculation in her eyes, the math adding up. This is my son, Noah. You're— Her gaze tracked between Noah and something over my shoulder. Oh my God. I turned. Adrian stood 20 feet away, champagne glass halfway to his lips, staring at Noah like he'd seen a ghost. Which in a way he had. The glass slipped, shattering on marble. The sound echoed through my bones. Is that— Noah started forward. I caught his arm. No? But Adrian was already moving toward us, his face a study in shock. Up close, 14 years had only improved him. Silver threaded through his temples, lines around his eyes that deepened when he smiled. Not that he was smiling now. Emma? His voice was exactly the same. It sliced through me like surgery without anesthesia. Adrian, congratulations on your engagement. His gaze never left Noah. I saw him cataloging the familiar features, the straight nose, the stubborn jaw, those distinctive gray-green eyes. How old are you? He asked Noah directly. 13. Noah's voice held steady, but I felt him trembling. 13, Adrian repeated. His face went white. Emma, is he— He's my father. Noah's words cut through pretense like a blade. Aren't you? The entire ballroom seemed to pause, conversations dying mid-sentence. Then Eleanor Cole materialized beside her son like a malevolent fairy godmother. 72 years old and sharp as winter, she smiled at me with teeth like weapons. Emma, how unexpected. Her gaze dismissed Noah entirely. Adrian, the ambassador is waiting to speak with you. Mother. Adrian's voice could have frozen hell. Did you know? Eleanor's smile never wavered. Know what, darling? Don't. He stepped closer to Noah, studying him like evidence in a case. My God, how could you not tell me? She tried, Eleanor said smoothly. But you'd already moved on. Some women simply can't accept— That's enough. A new voice cut through. Marcus Hale, whom I recognized from the business pages as the Cole Empire's financial advisor, appeared at my elbow. Mrs. Cole, I believe the senator's wife is looking for you. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. This doesn't concern you, Marcus. Actually, it does. He smiled pleasantly. Unless you'd prefer I discuss certain discrepancies in the Foundation's accounts with the Times reporter who's here covering the wedding. Eleanor's face went rigid. She swept away without another word, but her threat lingered like smoke. We should talk, Adrian said to me. All of us. Privately. The roof terrace is empty, Marcus offered. I'll make sure you're not disturbed. As we moved through the crowd, I caught Isabel watching from across the room. Her expression wasn't angry or surprised. It was sad, resigned, like she'd known this was coming all along. Mom, Noah whispered as we entered the elevator. What's happening? I don't know, I admitted. But I thought of Marcus's intervention, Eleanor's retreat, the chess pieces moving around us. But I think we're about to find out why your father really left. The roof terrace stretched out beneath a canopy of stars you could barely see through Manhattan's glow. Adrian stood at the railing, his back to us, shoulders tense beneath expensive fabric. 14 years, he said without turning. You were pregnant 14 years ago and you didn't tell me? I tried. The words came out raw. You disappeared. Your mother showed up with lawyers and lies. What lies? He spun around, and I saw real anguish in his eyes. She told me you'd had an abortion, showed me medical records, said you'd taken money to make it go away quietly. And you believed her? My voice cracked. You knew me, Adrian. You loved me. And you believed I'd do that without even talking to you? She had documents, receipts from the clinic, a signed statement from you. All forged. Marcus Hale stepped out of the shadows where he'd been waiting. I should know. I helped create them. We all turned to stare at him. He shrugged, unrepentant. Eleanor Cole pays well for loyalty. At least she used to. You son of a... Adrian started forward, but Noah stepped between them. I want to know everything, my son said quietly. All of it. The truth this time. Marcus pulled out his phone, scrolling through files. The truth is that your grandmother has been controlling your father's life since birth. When Emma got pregnant, Eleanor saw her as a threat to the empire. Wrong social class, wrong connections, wrong everything. So she made me disappear, I said, the pieces clicking into place. The job offer in London that Adrian couldn't refuse, the forged medical records, the payoff check to make it look like I'd agreed. The check you never cashed, Marcus noted, which was a problem. Eleanor expected you to take the money and run. When you didn't, she had to escalate. The threatening calls, I remembered. The bar where I worked burning down, my apartment being ransacked. Mom, what? Noah looked horrified. You never told me. I never knew for sure it was connected. But I had suspected. It's why we'd moved so many times when he was little. Why I'd changed my last name. Why I'd learned to look over my shoulder. Adrian sank onto a bench, head in his hands. I spent 3 years in London, thinking you'd betrayed me. By the time I came back, you were gone. No forwarding address, no trace. That was the point, Marcus said. Eleanor wanted you broken enough to marry whoever she chose. Enter the parade of suitable society women. None stuck until Isabel. Isabel knew? I felt sick. She found out 6 months ago. Hired a private investigator to look into her fiancé's past. Imagine her surprise finding out about her nephew. Marcus showed us a photo on his phone, Isabel and Eleanor arguing in what looked like Eleanor's study. This was last week. Isabel threatened to call off the wedding unless Eleanor told the truth. And Eleanor refused, Adrian guessed. Worse, she threatened to destroy Isabel's career, her friendships, her entire life if she didn't go through with it. Your mother owns shares in every major modeling agency, has dirt on every photographer who matters. Isabel would be finished. So she agreed to marry me, knowing all this? Adrian looked sick. She's been trying to find a way out without triggering Eleanor's nuclear option. Marcus pocketed his phone. That's where I come in. Why help us? I asked. What's your angle? Marcus smiled, and for the first time I saw something familiar in his features. Eleanor Cole destroyed my mother 35 years ago. Same playbook, pregnant mistress, threats, payoffs. Only my mother didn't run far enough. She died when I was 10, officially a suicide. Unofficially? Well, you're my brother, Adrian said slowly. My father's bastard son, yes. Eleanor knew, of course. Kept me close, paid for my education, made me part of the machine. She thought she owned me. His smile turned sharp. She thought wrong. The foundation discrepancies you mentioned, I said. They're real? Real enough to put her away for decades. Fraud, embezzlement, money laundering. Your mother's been using the Cole family foundation as her personal piggy bank and influence buying machine for years. Noah had been quiet through all of this, processing. Now he looked at Adrian. So what happens now? Adrian met his son's gaze. Now I stop letting my mother control my life. The wedding's off. The company, we'll figure it out. But you. His voice broke. God, I have a son. I missed everything. First words, first steps, first day of school. You couldn't miss what you didn't know about, Noah said quietly. But you know now. The door to the terrace burst open. Eleanor stood there, fury radiating from every line of her body. If you think you can destroy everything I've built with your little tantrum, it's over, Mother. Adrian stood, and I saw the lawyer he'd wanted to be, the fighter for justice. Marcus, send everything to the FBI, and the Times, and hell, send it to everyone. Eleanor's face went white. You wouldn't dare. You'll destroy the company, the family name. The family name is already destroyed. You destroyed it with every life you ruined, every person you crushed. He took Noah's hand, then mine. I choose them. The war room was Isabel's hotel suite. She sat on the bed in sweatpants and a Stanford t-shirt, looking younger without her camera-ready makeup. I can't believe you're all here, she kept saying. I can't believe this is happening. Marcus had laid out laptops and documents across the coffee table like battle plans. We have 12 hours before the wedding. If we're going to blow this up, we need to do it right. I don't want to blow anything up, I said. I just want Eleanor to leave us alone. That's not how she operates. Adrian was pacing, his bow tie undone, jacket discarded. She'll destroy you, Emma, both of you, unless we strike first. He's right, Isabel said quietly. You don't know what she's capable of. Last month, my ex-boyfriend tried to reconnect. 2 days later, he was arrested for possession of drugs that mysteriously appeared in his car. Jesus, Noah muttered. We need leverage, Marcus said. The foundation documents are good, but Eleanor's survived worse scandals. What about the others? Noah asked suddenly. The other women who filed paternity suits against Adrian. What if they were like Mom? What if Eleanor paid them off or threatened them too? Adrian stopped pacing. 2 of them vanished after settling. Moved overseas, no forwarding addresses. The 3rd one died, Marcus said quietly. Car accident. Single vehicle, perfect weather, no explanation. The room went silent. I pulled Noah closer. That's why we can't just expose the financial crimes, Isabel said. We need everything, every dirty secret, every cover-up. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Emma? A woman's voice, nervous. My name is Claire Winters. I was your therapist, years ago, after you left New York. I remembered, 3 sessions before I couldn't afford it anymore. Dr. Winters? I've been following the Cole wedding news. I saw your name on the guest list and... God, I can't believe I'm doing this. She took a shaky breath. Eleanor Cole has been my patient for 15 years. I've kept her secrets, but when I saw your name, your son's age, I know what she did to you. Doctor-patient confidentiality doesn't apply when there's imminent danger. And there is. She called me tonight, Emma. She's planning something, said she needs to handle the situation permanently. My blood went cold. When? Tomorrow, during the wedding. She kept saying it would look like an accident, that everyone would be too distracted to notice until it was too late. We need to leave, I said as soon as I hung up. Now, tonight. But Adrian was already on his phone. Security, I need a team at the Ritz-Carlton immediately. My son is in danger. His son. The words hit me like a physical blow. I have a better idea, Marcus said. We use the wedding. Are you insane? I stood, ready to grab Noah and run. She's planning to do something that requires distraction. A room full of witnesses, media coverage. He smiled grimly. What if we give her exactly what she wants? A massive distraction, but not the kind she's expecting. The video screens, Isabel said suddenly. The reception has these huge LED screens for the slideshow. They're connected to the AV system, accessible from the booth. You want to broadcast Eleanor's crimes during her son's wedding? I asked. During my wedding, Isabel corrected, which I never wanted, to a man I care about but don't love. Because a woman who tried to have you killed is holding my life hostage. We don't have proof she tried to kill anyone, Adrian said, but his voice lacked conviction. Marcus opened another laptop. Actually, we do. I've been recording Eleanor for 3 years. Every threat, every confession, every order to handle someone who got in her way. That's illegal, I pointed out. So is murder, he countered. So is fraud. So is destroying lives for sport. Noah looked between all of us, his young face serious. If we do this, if we really do this, there's no going back. She'll come after all of us. She's already coming, I said. The only question is whether we're going to be victims or fighters. Adrian knelt in front of Noah. I failed you once by letting her control me. I won't fail you again. Noah studied his father's face for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, let's take her down. Together, Isabel added, reaching for my hand. Family protects family, right? I squeezed her hand, feeling something I hadn't felt in 14 years. Not just hope, but power. The power of truth, of family, of refusing to be afraid anymore. Right, I said. Let's end this. The morning came dressed in sunshine and lies. St. Patrick's Cathedral looked like something from a fairy tale, all soaring arches and stained glass promises. Guests arrived in waves of silk and summer pastels, air kisses and champagne laughter floating on the June breeze. I sat in a middle pew, Noah beside me in his best suit. He kept touching his pocket where his phone recorded everything. You sure about this? I whispered. She's my grandmother, he said quietly. Even if she's evil, I want to hear it for myself. Adrian stood at the altar looking like every bride's dream, except for the tension in his shoulders, the way his eyes kept finding us in the crowd. Marcus was positioned near the AV booth. The FBI agents he'd contacted were scattered throughout, disguised as guests. The music swelled. Isabel appeared in the doorway, a vision in white that drew gasps from the crowd. But I knew her well enough now to see the steel beneath the silk. She walked down the aisle like a warrior approaching battle. Eleanor sat in the front row, resplendent in champagne-colored Dior, every inch the proud mother. She'd won, after all. Her son was marrying the right kind of woman. The media was here to document her family's glory, and the troublesome ex-girlfriend would soon be dealt with. I felt the weight of her confidence like a stone in my chest. Then I remembered the recording device in Noah's pocket. The FBI agents taking pictures, Marcus's fingers poised over his laptop. Dearly beloved, the priest began, we are gathered here today. The ceremony progressed with painful normalcy. Readings about love and commitment that felt like mockery. Isaiah's parents beaming, Adrian's cousins fidgeting in their pews. If anyone here has any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, the priest intoned, speak now or forever hold your peace. The cathedral held its breath. This was Marcus's cue, but nothing happened. I saw him at the booth, his face pale, shaking his head. Technical difficulties. Eleanor had won again. Then Noah stood. I object, he said, his 13-year-old voice carrying through the vast space. Every head turned. Eleanor's face went from smug to murderous in a heartbeat. Young man, the priest began. But Noah was already walking toward the altar. I object because the groom is my father and the bride is my aunt, and none of us should be here pretending this is about love. Security, Eleanor hissed. But the security guards weren't moving. Of course not. They were FBI. My name is Noah Blake, my son continued, standing straight despite the weight of 500 stairs. 14 years ago, Eleanor Cole threatened my pregnant mother, forged medical documents, and drove her out of New York to keep me from existing in her world. This is ridiculous, Eleanor stood. This disturbed child. That's when the screens flickered to life. Not with Marcus's evidence. He was still frozen at the booth. Instead, a new video played. Security footage from the Hotel Terrace last night, enhanced audio crystal clear. Eleanor's voice. The boy is a problem. Handle him like you handled the others. An unknown man. The Reeves woman fought back. It got messy. Eleanor, I don't pay you for excuses. There's a reason car accidents are so tragically common. The mother drinks, doesn't she? So sad when alcoholics drive with their children. The cathedral erupted. Guests crying out, reporters suddenly remembering their jobs, cameras swinging toward Eleanor's rapidly paling face. That's doctored, she sputtered. That's your confession, Agent Sarah Mitchell announced, badge flashing as she approached. Eleanor Cole, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, embezzlement. The list went on. Eleanor's perfect world crumbled with each word. You, she snarled at Adrian as handcuffs clicked around her wrists. You're nothing without me, nothing. I'm a father, Adrian said quietly. That's everything. Isabel dropped her bouquet, pulled off her veil. I'm sorry, she told the stunned crowd, but I can't marry a man I don't love just to please a woman who destroys lives for sport. She walked to Noah, knelt despite her elaborate dress. I'm sorry I didn't protect you sooner, nephew, but I'm here now. The FBI led Eleanor away, her threats echoing off sacred walls until the doors closed behind her. The wedding guests sat in shocked silence, a congregation without a ceremony. Go, Marcus said, appearing beside me. Get out before the media figures out who you are. But Noah shook his head. No more running, no more hiding. He looked at Adrian. Right? Adrian's eyes were wet. Right, no more hiding. The cathedral exploded into chaos, reporters shouting questions, guests demanding explanations, photographers fighting for the perfect shot. But in our little bubble, there was something like peace. Now what? I asked. Now, Adrian said, we learn how to be a family. The aftermath came in waves. First, the media storm. Cole empire crumbles. Wedding massacre. The boy who brought down a dynasty. Our faces splashed across every screen. Our story dissected by talking heads who'd never met us. We holed up in Adrian's apartment, the three of us learning to exist in the same space. Noah commandeered the guest room, Adrian gave me the master, and he took the couch like a man doing penance. You don't have to, I started one night, finding him staring out at the city lights. Yes, I do. He didn't look at me. 14 years, Emma. I let her steal 14 years. The FBI investigation uncovered more than we'd imagined. 3 suspicious deaths, 2 judges in Eleanor's pocket, a senator who'd been blackmailed into compliance. The Cole Foundation had been a criminal enterprise masquerading as charity. At least the victims' families will get justice, Marcus said during one of our strategy meetings. He'd become our unofficial guide through the legal maze, having turned state's evidence in exchange for immunity. But justice had a price. Adrian's company stock plummeted. Board members fled like rats from a sinking ship. Clients pulled contracts worth millions. I'm sorry, I told him one morning, finding him surrounded by termination notices. I'm not. He looked up, and for the first time in weeks, I saw peace in his eyes. It was all built on blood money anyway. Isabel had fled to Austin, starting fresh. She sent postcards with no return address. Learning to be myself. Thank you for showing me how. The hardest part was Noah. The media attention meant we couldn't leave the apartment without being mobbed. His friends saw him on the news, and suddenly everyone had opinions about the bastard billionaire's son. I hate this, he said one evening, scrolling through cruel comments online. They don't even know me. So we leave, I said. Go back to San Diego, back to normal. What's normal? He laughed bitterly. Everyone knows who I am now, who we are. Adrian closed the laptop. Then we make a new normal, together. But together was complicated. 14 years of absence couldn't be bridged overnight. Adrian tried too hard. Expensive gifts Noah didn't want. Activities that felt forced. Noah pulled away, polite but distant. He hates me, Adrian said one night after Noah had excused himself from another awkward dinner. He doesn't know you, I corrected. And you don't know him. Not yet. How do I fix this? You don't fix it. You build it. Day by day, moment by moment. The breaking point came when Eleanor made bail. Her lawyer, one of the few she hadn't alienated, got her house arrest with an ankle monitor. But we all knew she wasn't done. She still has loyalists, Marcus warned. People who owe her, fear her, or both. We hired security, but you can't hire peace of mind. I jumped at shadows, checked locks obsessively, kept Noah close. Then Dr. Winters called again. She's planning something. I can hear it in her voice during our sessions. She keeps saying blood will tell and laughing. Blood will tell? Adrian frowned. That's what she used to say about Marcus. About any threat to the family line. We realized it simultaneously. DNA tests, I breathed. She's going to demand DNA tests. Claim Noah isn't yours. But he is, Adrian said. He has to be. Look at him. Marcus was already typing. If she's filed a motion, yes, here, emergency petition for genetic verification, filed this morning. So we take the test, Noah said from the doorway. We hadn't heard him approach. Prove her wrong. But I saw the doubt creeping into Adrian's eyes, the way he studied Noah's features. Eleanor had poisoned everything she touched, and now she was poisoning this too. You don't have to prove anything, I told Noah. Not to her, not to anyone. Yes, I do. His young face was fierce. I'm tired of running, of hiding, of being afraid. She wants a test? Fine. But when it proves what we already know, I want her to look me in the eye and admit I'm her grandson. Adrian stood slowly. You're right. We face her. All of us. So, all of us, I agreed, though my heart hammered against my ribs. The test was scheduled for the following Monday. 3 days to wait, to wonder, to watch Eleanor's poison spread through our fragile new family. But sometimes the price of truth is facing your deepest fears. And sometimes a 13-year-old boy has more courage than all the adults combined. 6 months later, the October sun in San Diego felt like forgiveness on my skin. I stood on the beach below our apartment, our real apartment, not the safe house we'd hidden in for weeks after the trial, watching Noah teach Adrian to surf. Bend your knees, Noah called out, laughing as Adrian wobbled on the board. You're thinking too much. I'm a lawyer, Adrian yelled back. Overthinking is what I do. The DNA test had been positive, of course. Noah was Adrian's son, Eleanor's grandson, heir to whatever remained of the Cole Empire. But more importantly, he was my kid who loved fish tacos and science fairs and terrible puns, and now he was teaching his father to read waves. My phone buzzed. Isabel, texting from Austin. Bookstore is officially profitable. Also, met someone, a teacher. Mom would hate her. She's perfect. I smiled, typing back. Send pictures of the store and the teacher. The trial had been a media circus. Eleanor unrepentant to the end, wearing designer suits to court like armor. The victims' families in the gallery finally heard. The verdict, guilty on all counts, 25 to life, no parole. She'll die in there, Marcus had said quietly as they led her away. Good, Noah had replied, and none of us had corrected him. Marcus himself had vanished after the trial, leaving only a note. Starting fresh. Maybe we'll meet again as brothers, not casualties. Adrian hired investigators, but Marcus knew how to disappear. He'd learned from the best, after all. Mom, watch this. Noah caught a wave, riding it with easy grace. Adrian tried to follow and promptly face-planted into the surf. I waded in to help him up. You okay? Never better. He was grinning despite the salt water streaming from his nose. Did you see? I almost had it. You'll get it, Noah assured him, paddling over. Took me like 100 tries when I was learning. When you were 8, I reminded him. Details. Noah's smile was pure sunshine. Race you to the next wave? They paddled out together, father and son, still learning each other's rhythms. The resemblance was undeniable now, not just in features, but in mannerisms, the way they both tilted their heads when thinking, the determined set of their jaws. Adrian's company had survived, barely. He'd sold off pieces, paid settlements, rebuilt from the ground up. The new Cole Enterprises was smaller but cleaner, focused on affordable housing and sustainable development. Building something Noah won't be ashamed to inherit, he'd said. Not that Noah showed any interest in real estate. I'm going to be a marine biologist, he announced regularly. Or maybe a civil rights lawyer, or both. Both is good, Adrian always agreed. We were still figuring out us, Adrian and me. 14 years was a long time, and we weren't the same people who'd fallen in love over constitutional law notes. But something was still there, patient and warm like the California sun. Dinner tonight? He asked every Friday. Pizza and movie, I'd answer. Our new tradition, building new memories to balance the lost years. Dr. Winters, Claire, as she insisted I call her now, had become a friend. Trauma doesn't vanish, she reminded me during our monthly coffee dates. But it doesn't have to define you either. She was right. The nightmares had faded. The constantly checking over my shoulder had eased. San Diego felt like home again, not just a hiding place. A splash of cold water hit me. Noah and Adrian grinning like conspirators. "Oh, you're both in trouble now," I warned, diving under the next wave. We played in the surf until the sun started its descent, painting the sky in shades of forgiveness. Later, we'd get fish tacos from Noah's favorite truck. Adrian would complain about the hot sauce and eat 3 anyway. Noah would fall asleep on the couch during whatever movie we'd picked, and Adrian and I would sit on the balcony, learning to be comfortable with quiet. "Any regrets?" Adrian asked that night, as he always did. "No," I said, as I always did. "You can't regret the path that brought you home." The ocean murmured its ancient secrets, and I thought about tides, how they take everything out to sea but always bring something back. Eleanor had tried to drown us in lies, but we'd learned to swim in truth instead. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Just coordinates and a photo. Marcus, tanned and smiling, on a beach somewhere tropical. Brothers, after all. "Look," Noah said, pointing at the horizon where dolphins played in the last light. "Perfect ending to a perfect day." Not perfect, I thought, but real. And real was so much better. We were writing our own story now, one sunset at a time.